Section 2. Resettlement and Adaptation. This section, which contains chapters 4, 5, 6, and 7, covers the journey of adapting to life in the United States after fleeing Vietnam. It delves into the challenges of resettlement, the struggle to keep cultural identity, and the personal and familial struggles to rebuild a life from scratch. Overview, Chapter 4. Changes in Life. Changes in Life is set in the aftermath of the Vietnam War, focusing on the life of Nam, a former South Vietnamese Air Force officer, and his family as they navigate the challenges of resettling in the United States. The narrative begins on July 22, 1975, as Nam and his family arrive in Washington state, marking the start of a new chapter in their lives after a prolonged period of uncertainty and displacement in various refugee camps. Anxiety and hope of new beginnings. As Nam and his family disembark from the plane at SeaTac Airport, they are greeted by members of a local church who have agreed to sponsor them. The warmth and hospitality of their American hosts provide a stark contrast to the anxiety and uncertainty that have dominated Nam's life since the fall of Saigon. The family is welcomed into their new home and begins to adapt to the unfamiliar surroundings and the culture of their host country. Cultural adjustment and everyday challenges. Nam and his family face many challenges adjusting to American life. Grocery shopping, navigating the school system, and learning English are significant hurdles. Nam's wife struggles with unfamiliar supermarkets, often relying on others for help. Nam himself encounters humorous yet embarrassing situations due to language barriers. Struggle for employment and financial stability. The story outlines Nam's efforts to find work in his new country. He begins at a factory, assembling electronic components, far from his previous military career. Despite low pay and monotony, Nam perseveres to support his family. The narrative also highlights the economic struggles faced by many Vietnamese refugees, adapting to menial jobs in a new environment. Resilience and adaptation. As Nam continues to work and adjust, he enrolls in vocational training to improve his prospects. Despite the initial difficulties, including financial constraints and the challenge of balancing work, study, and family responsibilities, Nam's determination and resilience shine through. He eventually graduates with a certification in electronics, opening up new opportunities for him and improving his family's situation. Reflection on loss and new identity. Throughout the story, Nam reflects on the immense changes in his life, from a respected military officer to a refugee struggling to make a new life in a foreign land. The narrative highlights the emotional and psychological toll of these changes, as Nam grapples with the loss of his homeland and the need to forge a new identity in the United States. Overview, Chapter 5. The Village of Somber Bridges. The Village of Somber Bridges is a deeply emotional narrative set in the backdrop of Vietnam's turbulent history, focusing on the life of Nguyen Van Chau, a man whose life was drastically altered by the long conflict between the communist forces and the nationalist government, culminating in the events of April 30, 1975. The simplicity of rural life before the war. Before the war, Chau was a simple farmer in the Khao Noi village, living a life similar to that of his ancestors. His days were spent working in the fields, following the tradition passed down through generations. The story paints a picture of a peaceful rural life, deeply connected to the land and traditional values. The impact of war and change. However, the war brought significant changes to Chau's life. The long conflict between the communist and nationalist forces and the eventual fall of Saigon marked a turning point in his life. The narrative highlights how these historical events disrupted the traditional way of life, forcing Chau to leave his village and join the military service under President Ngo Dinh Diem's conscription policies. Love and separation. Amidst the chaos of war, Chau develops a romantic relationship with Nam Lai, a beautiful girl from a neighboring village. Their love story is a touching aspect of the narrative, filled with moments of tender affection and youthful romance. However, the impending war and Chau's conscription cast a shadow over their relationship, leading to a painful separation that deeply affects both of them. The struggles of military life. Chow's transition from a farmer to a soldier is depicted with great detail. His time in the Quang Trung training camp, the hardships of military life, and the challenges he faces in adapting to this new reality are all explored. The story reflects on the broader experience of many young men who were forced into military service during this period, leaving behind their families and loved ones. The loss of innocence and the reality of war. As Chow's story unfolds, it becomes clear that the war has stripped him of his innocence. The narrative conveys the harsh realities of war, including the destruction of lives, families, and communities. Chow's journey is marked by loss, not only of his peaceful life and his love, but also of the traditional values and simple joys that once defined his existence. Overview, Chapter 6. Sorrowful Past. Sorrowful Past is a deeply reflective narrative that captures the life and experiences of Nam, a man born during a time of upheaval and change in Vietnam. The story delves into his childhood memories, shaped by the socio-political landscape of his village and the broader impacts of French colonial rule, the Japanese occupation, and the subsequent return of the French. The innocence of childhood amidst war and turmoil. Nam's early years are depicted against the backdrop of a peaceful village life, surrounded by fruit trees and a close-knit family. However, this tranquility is disrupted by the harsh realities of war and occupation. Nam recalls how the idyllic life in his village was marred by the return of French forces, who imposed brutal measures on the local population, leading to frequent evacuations and a constant state of fear. These experiences shaped Nam's early understanding of the world, blending the innocence of childhood with the harshness of war. The impact of colonialism and conflict on identity. As Nam grows older, he witnesses the effects of colonialism and conflict on his community. The story highlights the stark divisions between the colonizers and the local population, with Nam internalizing a sense of national pride and resistance against foreign domination. This period is marked by significant upheaval, as Nam's family is forced to navigate the dangers posed by both the occupying forces and local conflicts. The narrative captures the tension between the desire for a peaceful life and the reality of living under oppressive regimes. Struggle and resilience during times of change. Nam's family endures numerous hardships, including displacement, economic struggles, and the constant threat of violence. The story details the resilience of Nam's parents, who worked tirelessly to provide for their family despite the instability. Nam himself takes on responsibilities beyond his years, contributing to the family's survival while also trying to pursue his education. The narrative reflects on the broader challenges faced by many Vietnamese families during this period, highlighting their determination to overcome adversity. Reflection on lost traditions and cultural shifts. As the story progresses, Nam reflects on the loss of traditional values and the changes in his community brought about by modernization and war. He recalls the simple pleasures of village life, now replaced by the fast-paced materialistic culture of the cities. This shift is portrayed as both inevitable and bittersweet, as Nam mourns the disappearance of the world he once knew. Overview, Chapter 7. Teacher Bao. Teacher Bao tells the poignant story of Bao, a literature teacher in Saigon, who gradually becomes disillusioned with life in post-war Vietnam. The story opens with Bao feeling frustrated after a local Retired Teachers Association meeting, where he was questioned about why he returned to Vietnam despite the communist regime still being in power. This question triggers a reflection on his past and the current challenges he faces. Passion for teaching and the impact of war. Before 1975, Bao was a passionate literature teacher who loved classical Vietnamese poetry. He was known for his unique teaching style, captivating students who affectionately called him Nguyen, after a famous literary figure. However, his life took a sharp turn when he was drafted into the Army of the Republic of Vietnam during the war. After returning to teaching post-service, Bao found it difficult to recapture the joy and fulfillment he once found in his profession due to the profound impact the war had on him. Disillusionment with the new regime. The post-war period brought significant changes that alienated Bao. The communist takeover led to forced personal history declarations and mandatory political re-education sessions. Bao was humiliated by a former thug, now a local official, during one such session, highlighting the dramatic shift in power dynamics. The new ideological standards imposed on him stripped away the passion and creativity that once defined his teaching style, leading to a growing sense of disillusionment. Isolation and loss of purpose. Bao's growing frustration led to feelings of isolation in a society that no longer valued his ideals. The oppressive political climate eroded his love for literature, causing him to question his place in a world that had changed so drastically. The story explores the emotional toll of living under a dictatorship, where personal freedoms are suppressed and former passions fade away. The struggles of intellectuals in a totalitarian state. Bao's experience reflects the broader struggles faced by intellectuals in post-war Vietnam, where the state's demands for ideological conformity stifle creativity and intellectual freedom. The story portrays the tension between individual expression and the oppressive demands of the state, a common theme in literature about life under totalitarian regimes.